So what are your expectations from this webinar? See how far behind the times. Okay. 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 All right. All right. Learn about agile trends. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Okay. Very good. I'm looking for more towards seeing what is trending. Okay. 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 Lori, thanks. Great. Thanks. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Let's move forward. So let's talk a little bit what is new at RefineM. So we have next webinars coming up. We'll talk about role of customer in agile projects, how the customer's involvement is so crucial for agile projects. And then we will talk about Scrum versus Kanban. These are the two popular techniques. Scrum is very, very popular. Kanban is getting there. So we'll see what are these two and which works better when, where, and those kind of things. And we have added several PMP classes in 2018. We have in-person classes, we have web classes that you can do from anywhere. Usually our web classes in the evenings. So we do 9 days in a row, 4 hours each day. So it goes from starting on one Monday to the next, Thursday or so. So that's for those who want to take the PMP. We have a new business analysis class. So that's coming up very new. You should see some of that schedule on our calendar. And then related to that, requirement gathering for agile projects, which is very different than conventional one. And then Kanban fundamentals. Our PMP exam prep test simulator is now PMBOK 6 compliant. So some of you who were thinking, or somebody who is thinking about PMBOK 6 test, the simulator actually supports both. It supports 5 as well as 6. Okay. So there was one question that came up. Normally we poll for questions before the workshop. So one question came up: how can agile principle be applied to civil engineering? Yeah, we will talk about that towards the end. Okay. So let's talk about, these are top 10 trends that we think will affect 2018 in the project management agile world in a pretty significant way, pretty significant way. So we'll discuss those, and these are the trends that we collected from various material, different kind of articles, reports, and things like that. So from those we filtered out, and then based on what we also see, so this is that list. So we'll talk about each trend, maybe spend a couple of minutes on each trend, and talk about that. So good news for project managers. Good news for project managers. More project managers needed by 2027. So that keeps growing. That keeps growing. So to put some number in the perspective, 22 million new project-oriented jobs created in next 10 years. So that is new jobs. That's not talks about existing jobs. Okay. So so that's great growth opportunities for the project managers, and in both, whether agile or non-agile, it covers both. So if you are doing project management for agile projects, great. If you are doing project management for non-agile project, that also is great. So and this is driven by global change, strong GDP growth, and things like that. And in particular, manufacturing and construction, they'll have stronger growth. So Mustafa was asking about civil engineering. So that area is going to see some faster growth. Then of course IT and finance, you will see growth too. Almost every sector is. So as a project manager, to stay in demand, you keep improving on your skills. Keep improving your skills, and there will be plenty of jobs that will require. Of course, you have to be at the top of what you do. So normally we see that on one side we see this, you see this kind of report. On the other side, I see on LinkedIn, various forums, group, that people are not able to find jobs. So I think that the gap exists because of the kind of skills that are needed, and the project managers who keep their skill aligned to the demand, they will never have shortage of jobs. But if you don't update your skills as per the demand, then you will struggle. So nothing to worry about. All good news. It's going to be a lot of growth in 2018, and of course for next 10 years. The other trend what I see is the changing role of governance. So current governance is more towards supervising project managers. Decisions come from the top, and things like that. Later on, I think it is more going to be alignment to the strategy that we have already seen it happen. It will be more empowerment kind of a thing that will be passed to the down the what you call as the authority chain. So it will not, everything that will not come from the top, and we have started seeing that to happen with Agile getting popular. Agile basically recommends empower teams, and so the lot of decisions the teams make. So for the governance also, it's getting like down. So more and more empowerment going down, with very critical decisions only happening at the top. Not everything happens at the top. So that kind of a trend is changing, or you're going to see more and more. Some of you would have started seeing that in your organizations, particularly if your organizations are small. For larger organizations, probably it will take a little more time, because they have a backlog that they carry from their past, and all the bureaucracy and the procedures, rules, documentation, all those kind of things. It will take a little longer to get out of that. But that's where the world is going. Making a kind of more empowered teams, more empowered project managers. So that's what you're going to see. Okay, the next one here is emotional intelligence. So let's talk about that emotional intelligence part. So that is also going to be increasing, and that comes because of the empowerment that the teams will have. So the project managers, project leads, even the team members need to exhibit and develop the skill of emotional intelligence to understand others' emotions, and also know your own emotions and manage those. So, and that is very helpful in solving critical problems. And if the project managers with higher EI are more effective, they deliver results better than the PMs that have smaller EI, or do not have much of emotional intelligence. So that's the part that will become more and more in need. So when I talk about aligning your need to the demand, so that you saw the demand is going to go up. But to stay competitive and have abundance of jobs or abundance of options that could be available to you, you need to constantly upgrade your skill, constantly. Just doing a PMP or a CSM and not doing anything after that will be, slowly you will become kind of obsolete. So need to stay uh, abreast with demand. And so not only those hard skills, but the soft skills like EI and several other leadership skills. And the basis of all those soft skills is EI, the emotional intelligence. So if you don't know emotional intelligence, you read about it. I think we did a webinar on emotional intelligence. We may do it again, but that's very, very critical skill to have. So that's something, if you don't know what it is, if you don't know how to build it, then investing some time in that will be very, very useful. There is a book called as Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And if Philip can get the URL for that, he can paste it in the chat box. So that's what we use in our leadership classes, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. That's a very good book if you want to start your journey on improving the EI part. Okay, so let's take a break here, little, maybe 5 seconds or maybe 15 seconds to be more reasonable, and see if there are any questions on the 3 trends that I just talked about. Any questions or comments? Okay, very good. Okay, let's keep going. So DevOps. Uh, DevOps is a terminology that actually started becoming more and more common with Agile software development. So basically, that unifies software development and operations. So the DevOps, it seems like that DevOps will pave the road for the development team to come and run on that. So you need this infrastructure, you need automation, you need like continuous integration, continuous deployment. So those are some of the things that are not related, that are not software development or the functionality development, but they are very much needed for agile teams to produce something meaningful every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And they normally, whatever are the needs of the team in terms of those infrastructure needs, the DevOps normally is ahead by a couple of sprints. And they have to be. The reason for that is that, let's say if they are plowing the road for you, if you're laying out the road for the team, they have to be ahead. They cannot be behind. So if they are ahead, then the team will walk or run on that road, will be able to run and run well over that road. But if that road is not paved, and then the team will, face bumps over the road, bumps or holes, whatever you say. So it will be very uneven, and you cannot run faster on an uneven road. You all of know that. So DevOps is very, very critical, and as more and more teams are getting truly agile. So what I'll say, truly agile, I have seen many organizations doing iterative development. They run 2 weeks, 3 weeks iteration. But if you ask them that, are you producing anything that the user can use at the end of each sprint? Most of the time, the answer is no. So because the whatever functionality we developed that cannot be used because we need to have this, we need to have this, we need to have this. Until we have these 5 things, it may not make sense. So and and as you keep producing functionality, you need to make sure that the previously developed functionality is not broken. So that's where comes the picture or the need for automated testing, automated builds, so all those kind of things. Very, very critical role. And as agile teams, as more and more agile teams emerge, or and more companies become, agile, DevOps is going to be a key factor. Without a strong DevOps, it will be very hard for the teams to be truly agile. That is why it is gaining ground, because people say, okay, now we know how to do sprints. Now we know, how to write stories. Now we know how to develop smaller chunks. But can we really deliver it to the client? And the client or the customer, can they really use it? So that's what is a challenge. That's what is a big challenge. And DevOps is going to help on those, and also improve the productivity, improve the quality of what Agile's team do. Very important thing, and you will see more and more time and resources uh, spent on DevOps. It's a investment for the companies. It's not. It doesn't give direct benefit or immediate benefit, but that is something which is a very good investment. The ROI on this investment is very high, extremely high ROI. So if you are part of the agile team, if you are a project manager, or if you are a scrum master, or if you are leading agile transformation in your organization, make sure that there is a DevOps team. There is maybe just 2 people, but there is a DevOps team that helps the development team and paves the road for them at least 2 weeks ahead, 2 sprints ahead of the development. Very important, extremely important part on the DevOps. Uh, so I will stop here on the DevOps. I think there are a lot of questions here. Uh, in an ops member on the agile team? There's the question coming from, is ops member on the? It could be either way. It really doesn't matter. Uh, Many times you have a separate DevOps team, and one member of the DevOps team become the part of the agile, the development team, and he or she is present. He or she knows what are the priorities, what kind of needs this agile team will have. Then he goes back, and uh, they have DevOps may have their own sprints. So he goes and provides this input to the team, and then they see, maybe there are 5 teams, and one DevOps person is integrated with each team, and then these 5 team members come together and they create their own sprints. So that is one of the, it's like on the team but also not on the team. There could be sometimes a dedicated DevOps person on the team, so he is the one who is doing everything for the team. His whole job is to do automation, to automate builds, write automate tests, or create environments. So all those kind of things, he is 100% dedicated to that team. And once again, if the team is very big, then probably you will need more than one DevOps member. So it's just how much, how big team is. Sometimes I have seen that there are agile teams of 50, 60 people. Of course, they will not work in one team. They will divide into smaller teams, 4 or 5 smaller teams, and there may be 2 or 3 people doing the DevOps work. So it doesn't matter whatever way it works out. Um, there could be, in very large organizations, there could be a separate DevOps team altogether. because they may have to keep the infrastructure in sync with, you know, in sync with the rest of the things, so that there is a consistency. So it just depends upon what situation you are in. Uh, so okay, Lori wants to schedule an EI webinar. Yeah, we'll do that. Uh, okay. So any more question on DevOps? I think this is a very critical topic, very interesting topics. Maybe we should have a webinar on this one. Okay, let's keep moving. So another one on the SAFe. I don't know how many of you know about SAFe. The Scaled Agile Framework is gaining momentum. Uh, so there are more organizations that are using it in comparison to Scrum or some other methods. So it's, for some of you who don't know, it's one of the framework that helps scaling Agile. So instead of one small team working on one product, if you have a larger product to develop where you have 50, 100, 200, 300,000 people, and then you will have multiple teams. So this is a framework that that is useful for larger teams. But at the same time, I just want to say that this is a very prescriptive framework, very prescriptive framework, and it requires new roles, new changes to the roles, lot of uh, practices that need to be implemented, learned, and practiced. So there is a lot of investment that organizations have to make to implement SAFe, and it requires time as well as it requires money, both of it. So very robust framework, highly prescriptive, but it works in many organizations. It works. I personally know uh, some of the companies who are using it, and they are finding it to be very useful. But remember, it will take time, training, and money to implement. And if it is a small team like 30, 40 people, don't even think about it. That will not be a good investment. That will not give you so much benefit because the investment is larger. So it is good for 100, 200, 300, 500 people teams. So that's then that investment is very useful with a good return on investment. Okay, another one. Uh, there is going to be greater need to communicate value. We all have been talking about value uh, for quite some time, but this keeps increasing. Every year there is a more emphasis on value. So this has become part of vocabulary for agile teams anyway, because agile is about value. What value do you deliver to the customer? Is the team working on higher value items all the times? What is the value of doing a task? I was talking to one of the teams today, and they were debating, is doing UAT valuable or not? Is it adding value? Shall we spend the time and energy in doing UAT? So those are the kind of discussions that come up, and the value not only in terms of senior management or executives, but coming down to the operational part of operational level. Every team member asking about value. What is the value of doing this? Should we really do it? Is it making us better? Or is it serving the customer better? So that is where you will see and more discussions. You see these discussions in agile teams. Scrum master will, and product owners, scrum masters and product owner talk about this all the time. If they are not, then they are missing something. Particularly product owners. Product owners need to focus on value. What is the customer value? They need to know how to quantify the value so that they can prioritize and deliver high value items to the customer first, and then the next, then the next, then the next. And there are various ways you can measure the business value. It's not just return on investment. Is there a increased in sales, profit, gross margins, and satisfaction? Are my users satisfied? So those are some of the, if you see those metrics, they are not new. They are old. They existed before, but now those metrics are coming down to the team level. They used to stay at in the boardrooms or the senior level, senior managers level, but they are coming down. So people are talking about value. The product owners are talking about value. I will not be surprised if non-agile projects will also start talking about value. They also talked about value. A net promoter score is gaining lot of attention. For everything, net promoter score. I don't know if you are a T-Mobile customer. I get on my phone after every, if I made a call to them, if something I had an interaction with them, immediately I will get a survey. And a single net NPS is a single survey, single question survey. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strongly you will recommend us to others. The business value is getting more and more down to the operational level rather than staying at the high level or the boardroom level. So that is something that you will see going forward. Okay. Growth of hybrid approaches. This is another trend that I have seen, you will see, and I saw it in many of the reports that we looked at. And for many organizations, it make more sense to have a hybrid approach. And instead of completely transitioning to agile, pick up the good or the parts of agile that they can easily implement, and the difficult ones they can leave out. So I have seen a couple of months ago, I was at one of the customer site, and they have implemented their own hybrid model, where they have longer iterations. It may not be 2 weeks, it may be more, but they are delivering something. Instead of delivering once a year or more, they are delivering every 3 months and actually putting things into production. So that is happening. Agile transformation doesn't mean that you have to 100% change the process or the culture that your organization has. Sometimes it's very hard to change that. Sometimes there are uh, certain things that limit you doing that, but those limitations should not come in your way to pick up whatever you can pick up from the agile practices and start implementing those practices in your environment. I teach a course called as First Steps Towards Agility, Implementing Agile Practices in a Waterfall Environment. And it's very popular. It's very popular. And I have delivered that at multiple locations. I will be doing a 2-day version of that class at PMI Seminar World this year in Seattle, Chicago, and Berlin. It's a very, very popular thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can use whatever hybrid, whatever makes sense, whatever makes sense in your organization, based on the pluses and minuses that you have. You can do the SWOT analysis and implement it. So this is seen more and more, particularly in bigger organizations where they have larger teams involved in development. Smaller organizations normally will start agile anyway, but the bigger organizations where they do hundreds of projects and they have been doing projects successfully, more or less using waterfall. So they can start doing hybrid. Maybe they have some teams that do full agile, some teams that do entire waterfall, some teams who do a mix. So there is nothing wrong with that, and there is more and more of that happening in the world now. There is a trend uh, to do more and more of that. Um, Let me pause here and see, have you seen this in your organizations, this kind of hybrid approach? Or you have not seen it? Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah, Lori. Yeah, yeah. In my own, yes. Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Yeah. IDBV. What is that? If you can explain that. That IDBV. Iterative development. I'm just guessing.
Yep, iterative development. It's iterative, develop, build, validate.
Okay, okay, okay. Very good. And if that's working for you, that's uh, helping achieve those business objectives of satisfying your customers, increasing revenue, increasing profit, increasing NPS. That's great. That's great. Anybody else they see other than Lori? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone talking about that. Okay, all right. Let's move forward. Um, Now talk about cybersecurity. Who doesn't know about this? And the kind of things that we hear about, you know, uh, cyber attacks at all levels, and so people would like to have more and more secure environment, and people are adopting different strategies. Some are building in-house capability to support that. Some are outsourcing their infrastructure, so they don't have to worry about, and the outsourced company is taking care of that. Um, so, and it is not only with the infrastructure; it's also within the application. So there is a infrastructure aspect of security, and there is a application aspect of security. So if you are part of the development team, and if you are doing the development, you may be coming across the requirements that say, okay, what kind of user are you, or maybe what are the different kind of users who are going to use the application. And then you have role-based or user role-based security built into the application, which is very different than network security, infrastructure security, or other kind of security. So you have security that you need to keep your infrastructure safe. But even if you kept your infrastructure safe, then are your applications safe? Do they have enough security built in, so people are not able to come through the application and access the information or parts that they are not supposed to? So that's another part of security, and this is the trend, which is not something new for you. Most of you would have seen this already happen in your organizations, talking about how to stay safe from those cyber attacks. Uh, very common, very important, and more cybersecurity projects will kick off. More and more investment will kick off, uh, and I have also started seeing uh, the cybersecurity become a discipline or a subject that is being taught in colleges. You are going to have very soon, already have majors available as a major in undergraduate classes on project in computer science. So if you are doing computer science undergraduation course, cybersecurity may be an option for you to do specialization. And I can tell you, if you have done that major in your undergraduate, you will have a lot of jobs, lot of jobs. There are a lot of demand for people who know how to implement cybersecurity, and it's going to grow. It's going to grow, and there is a kind of catch 22 what you have to do, because more people become secure, the hackers find more ways to get in. So it's and many times hackers are ahead of people who are trying to implement security, and that's why they are able to get in. So it's going to be a race, and so to win over hackers, I think it will be a more investment needed at every level. So the undergraduate that is coming out of the college with computer science degrees, they will already be equipped with the knowledge how to implement cybersecurity, and they can be hired by the companies who have projects for implementing cybersecurity in their organization, or the outsourced companies who provide cloud services. They will need many those people. uh, so if you have somebody who is doing computer science under graduation, this is an very high demand emerging career. I guide students and I tell them this is what you should pick. If you want to have a job just coming out of college and may have a lot of options coming out of college, and from project management perspective, the project managers need to understand this. They may not be a cybersecurity expert, and project managers are not expected to be expert in the domain area anyway. But it's good to have some knowledge, so you can talk intelligently. So that is the kind of knowledge needed, and uh, if you have that, that will be great. Your demand goes up. Um, then more and more remote and virtual teams. It keeps increasing every year. We see distributed teams, more and more teams, people distributed, and people working in different time zones. Uh, they may work split their time between home and office. They may work some at office, some at home. I do that. I work from home, and then I work from office, then I work from the client side. uh, so I do a lot of remote work, and I do remote work with the people who are also remote. They may not be sitting in the office. I am doing agile coaching now for very big teams, and people are distributed in 4 or 5 different time zones. So everybody, most of the time when we are on a WebEx, we see people sitting in their office or bedrooms or living rooms, and talking from there. And someone it is morning, for someone it is night. So it is becoming very common, and the trend is more and more remote work, more and more virtual teams. So as a project manager or a scrum master or a product owner, if you're working in those teams, you need to get used to that. And then you need to know what the tools are. So other than phone and video meetings, there are several other tools that you can use. I don't know how many of you heard about Slack. Beautiful tool. Beautiful tool for virtual teams to have conversation, to keep track of the conversation. Many times when we send email out for 6 or 7 people, they get into that conversation, and somebody is dropped, somebody did not include, and all those kind of things. And then after that email, everybody's storing that in their folders to keep track of what were the kind of conversation that happened. Slack is great. for those kind of things. Great. If you have not heard of that, um, I will say that that's something that you want to implement in your organizations or your teams. Very, very powerful tool, very powerful tool. Similarly, there is another tool uh, that you can, of course, SharePoint and all those kind of things you already know, but there's another collaboration tool called as Mural, Mural. That's another very, very good tool for collaborating over the web. You can do, you can have a shared kind of a board where people can put their comments, draw things, and have a conversation in real time. Everybody can just use that same canvas as if you're standing in front of a whiteboard and people are writing on the whiteboard or drawing on the whiteboard. Very powerful, very powerful. So project managers, scrum masters, product owners, they need to know how to make a remote or virtual team effective, how to collaborate in those environments, how to communicate effectively in those environments. Very important for project managers to learn this skill and learn some of these tools uh, to make the team productive. Okay, so let's see what is next. Education. And last year we talked about education. Uh, so uh, this was 750 or something last year. Uh, so now it's more than 800. It just keeps growing, just keeps growing. So for any project management need, this has become a default. Right now, I am looking for a couple of project manager for a potential opportunity in San Francisco. And I said, okay, I need PMP and I need CSM optional to, and so there is a lot of demand. I do understand that discussion. What is the guarantee that if you have a PMP, you will be a good project manager? There could be project managers without PMP is still good project manager. I know that conversation that that goes on, um, but still, the certifications tell that at least you have minimum knowledge. Now, how you have used those knowledge in project will be demonstrated by your experience and the results that you have produced and the kind of conversation that you can have during the interviews. So that will be demonstrated at that time. Is that knowledge that you show through the certification, is it real or it is bookish knowledge? And once you do those interviews, when you talk to the people, I think it becomes very clear the way that resume is written. uh, I might have interviewed 4 or 5 people in last couple of weeks, and I can tell just in 5-10 minutes, first 5-10 minutes, whether they know the things or not, whether they have done it or not. It's important. It's important. So it sets some kind of a baseline, some kind of a bar uh, that that is required, or that may be not required, may be preferred by many companies. I will definitely prefer, if I have to hire a project manager, I would like them to be PMP, and I would like to preferably have them CSM. But if I'm looking for a Scrum Master, I would definitely like them to have a CSM. I will not hire any Scrum Master without CSM or ACP certification. So an ACP CSM, again, I think if you have one of those, that's good enough. So that's not too much different for me. Both actually I prefer ACP over CSM because ACP is more holistic uh, and uh, provides more learning opportunity than CSM. But if you are a CSM, you can still be a Scrum Master. It doesn't matter. But education is important, and it is becoming more and more important as we go forward. And as I was talking in the beginning, the trend is that you need 22 million project professionals by 2027. So those are the kind of project professionals that will be needed. You need to have a continuing education, You need to understand the environment, the cybersecurity, the DevOps, safe, hybrid frameworks, or hybrid way of working with remote teams, all those. So if you continue educating yourself with the demands uh, that are there in the marketplace, you will not find a shortage of jobs. But if you're not keeping your skills up to date, then you will struggle to find the jobs. Um, so that's why a lot of companies say we have these jobs open, but we're not finding people who can fill these jobs because they are looking for specific skills. They are looking for particularly skill. The days are gone when there was more generalized skills that the people used to hire. Now they are hired for specific skills, and you had to be very specific in whatever area your career is. So education becomes very important, and if you keep yourself educating in hard, skills, soft skills, and environment, and see around what's going on, keep updated on what's going on, so that okay, oh, this is happening. Cybersecurity projects are gaining momentum. Let me go look at that. What the heck is that? And it's not that you have to go through attend a 6 months course. It's just getting yourself familiarized. May go attend the groups where they talk about it. And nowadays there are a lot of groups, like PMI has chapters, Agile user groups are there, Scrum user groups are there. So there's a lot of opportunity, even in the smaller towns, not to talk about big towns. So stay educated. That's the next trend, and probably this is the last one, I think. Uh, so uh, so let's talk about this. Okay, Philip added this slide over here. So which of these trends you are you most excited for? Looking where you are, or is there any trend you are worried about? Philip, you can open the microphone if people want to talk. I'm okay, unless we hear a lot of background noise, then we'll stop.
Okay, I've opened up the lines for everyone.
So what are the trends? Anybody? Hello? I see you are there. Nathan, excited for remote teams. Just need to convince my company. Okay. I like the idea of hybrids. Yeah. 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 Cybersecurity definitely big concern today. Yes, absolutely. It's a very big concern. It's a very big concern. Absolutely. Absolutely. Emotional intelligence, Jamisil. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
NK, you were talking about the changing role of governance and the fact that future project managers might have a higher degree of empowerment. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that will happen? Yeah, the reason for that happening is basically Agile is driving that. That is what is happening. Agile is driving that. And so one of the ways for teams to become really agile is to respond to the customer needs quickly. So if every decision has to come from the top, you know that there are delays. So those kind of decisions, what is the priority, goes down to the product owner level. So product owner decides that, and in many cases we see project manager even wearing those hats where there are no product owners. So I will say product owners are the ones that make such decisions, and also what need to change as a process. of software development. What kind of things should we do or should we not do? What makes sense? Those kind of decisions are for the team to take, rather than somebody from outside or PMO coming up and saying that, okay, this is the way we are going to do it. Now, with the empowerment, the teams figure it out themselves, and it is possible that within the same organization, one team may have a little different process than the other team, which is fine as long as both the team show improvements. So that is where so basically I will say Agile is driving it. The constant changing needs from the external environment, which is pushing the organization to become more and more agile. Uh, and agile means responding to customer needs quicker. That's what agile is about. So if you are responding to customers quicker, then how do you do that? If everything has to come from the top, then it will take time. So there could be some decisions that may still come from the top, but there could be a lot of decisions that could be left at the product owner, scrum master, PM level, and the team level even. So that's the origin, that's the thinking behind that.
That makes sense, particularly if you have a product owner and a project manager and a scrum master. That's kind of a checks and balances to be sure nobody goes off on a crazy tangent, but it works well together.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So you're diminishing importance of project managers, business PM in Agile, diminishing importance of project managers. So I will say it is not diminishing importance. It is the way the projects have to be managed. It's a different way of running those projects than waterfall way of running the projects. You will still have projects. You will still need, those stakeholder management, risk management, vendor management, or what procurement management. I think that's what we call. You will still need all of that. Communication management, all of those you need. If you think through those 9 or 10 knowledge areas in PMBOK, you will still not need those things, but the way they are implemented in Agile world is different. So like communication, instead of doing weekly status report, you don't do weekly status report in Agile projects. You have burn down charts. That is actually a daily status report, not weekly. You do actually more planning and more tracking in Agile as compared to waterfall projects. It's a daily level tracking. So I don't see there is a diminishing importance. I see it as being different, but you will still have those 10 knowledge areas that are in PMBOK. Yusuf, if you know PMBOK and business PMs. I don't know what is business PMs, but I think business PMs are the PMs who are not technology, but on the business side. They may have more importance. They may become actually product owners in that role. So explore the opportunities. I don't think it is decreasing. It is diminishing. If it is diminishing, why you have 827 thousand PMPs? No, every year it keeps increasing. So I don't think it is diminishing, and if it is, and that impression is not right. But the thing is, it's going to be different. Okay, let's see. So the conclusion. I want to get to the question here. I think there was a question: how Agile can be applied in civil engineering. I don't know if Mustafa joined today or not, but let me respond to this question. So Agile principle can be applied actually in any field, civil engineering projects. It may not be like you are delivering something every 2 sprints, but some of the Agile principles can be applied. You can create the flow. You you can create the value stream map, you can create the flow, and you can set up a Kanban board to see where things are. And you can see where things are stuck and how to move forward. You can have daily Kanban meetings, and you can have weekly retrospectives. Uh, it will work great. You don't have to implement Scrum. Scrum may not be a good fit in this kind of environment. Actually, Scrum may not be a fit in most of the environment which are not development environment, not software development. So if it is not a software development, it is this kind of environment, or actually in any kind of business environment. Any kind of business environment, think about HR, recruiting. They can use Agile. Think about hospitals, they can use Agile. Anybody can use Agile. So it's not, but if you Agile with a Scrum, then you have difficulty. Then Scrum cannot be applied everywhere. See what are the different methodologies and what is a good fit in what environment, and you can apply that.